So basically now we can come to planning our agenda, coming out of the question, what has been left unresolved. If I can maybe start drafting something with you also on the Miro board. Send Miro board again to the chat. So yeah, we have some time today. We might use few rooms, we might use one room, we might go with 1-2 sessions, we can go with up to 4 sessions in a room. But let's think a bit about what do we want to do today? What do we want to speak about?
Can I ask a question, Max? What Griff also mentioned, that there was a lot of DAO and not Web3. I did not attend the opening day, but I guess since I was using a DAO, I was actually thinking, I think the presentation I did started with a Web3 or blockchain-based gaming community moving into metaverse on hypergrowth, and how do you manage culture, basically linking the off-chain to the on-chain elements, not a DAO, because this is just not just a gaming community, but moderating hypergrowth without having to compute using idle. So my question was, did you define this on the opening day, what you meant by Web3, or because obviously, Web3 is everything, but in terms of, I guess, decentralized internet. So was there a specific direction we wanted to see the presentations? Question.
Well, in general, I'm writing now a policy paper about like Web3 for government and digital economy, and there is quite complexity defining it. It's like about the internet on decentralized infrastructure, decentralized application, we could say, right? But also probably we would see what it is when we will have something like Web4, then we can discuss what Web3 was probably. But out of what people kind of put into, they somehow were attracted by Web3 plus AI topic. And that's what they mostly, when they formed, when they want to speak about, that were the main tags for the intersection, let's say. I was even reviewing, program-wise, have we touched those topics? And it felt like, every topic was touched, even if like just a little bit. But even like with some psychotherapy and spiritual, there was some even that connection. But of course, the main topics were about token engineering, data markets, labor markets, DAOs, as digital cooperatives, coordination, governance, reputation, large language models. That were like the main buzzwords.
Okay, thank you.
We also have some
side of the Miro board is the list of all the topics people suggested during the registration form.
Yeah, it's also like more.
Some of them were moved to the agenda during the opening, but the majority are there available if you want to look at it.
Okay.
We also have like 2 people joined. We did a small check-in round, Bert and Robin. I propose you to also say a few words about how have you been doing and what happened so far with you in this journey of Unconference. Robin, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I joined hi everybody. I joined the opening 2 weeks ago, and I planned to attend a lot of events this last week, but I decided to go to a art of hosting practice that took my whole week very spontaneously. So I haven't been able to attend so much, unfortunately. But I'll join today. I'm excited for today.
Bert, would you like to speak a few words?
Let me see. Hi. I've also missed all the meetings. I'm very, very sorry. I joined last year. It was an amazing experience, but I unfortunately like doing so many things here. It's about like our harvest time. We do some recovery camps, so I was away from computer, but lucky to catch the unconference, the ending day and closing day. So happy to be here.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Max.
Maria, would you like to do some checking?
Hi everyone. Sorry I missed most of the sessions that week. The starting week, I had appendicitis, so I haven't been in bed and with a lot of pain. But I'm glad to be joining today, and I'm sure the work has been incredible. And congratulations on all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. And just as I speak, a new person comes in the meeting. It's so nice. So there's Mehrun. I also would like to propose him to do a check-in as he connects his audio. Mehrun, would you like to do some small checking? I can't hear you, just in case. Yeah, I see you, your mic is on, but maybe something's not working. If you solve this, please just let me know, and would be curious to hear how you comment here as well. But yeah, I'll propose to get back to the agenda format. I'll send it again in the chat for newcomers. And Alejandro is joining. Hey Alejandro, can you hear us? By the way, I would like to say to Henrik that if you would like to raise this topic about what do we mean by, Web3 and AI, and what is the intersection, you could propose it as a session, maybe. Yes, Sam?
I have to jump off. Just want to say thanks everybody, and hopefully see you soon. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Alejandro.
I don't need to. No. It was only because I missed the part where all the opening day scope was. I think everybody's got an idea of what Web3 is, and I guess it would be limiting if we started to define it.
Sure.
But
Alejandro, I see you just joined. Everybody did a small check-in about the experience with Unconference so far and what happened through the week. How are you in general? Would you like to share a few words?
My experience was good. I wasn't able to get to all the conference, but so far so good. I greatly appreciate everybody's presentations and in general. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, then I propose to jump on the Miro board. Link is in the chat. Maybe I'll also send it to the Telegram. And maybe I'll give I don't know, maybe 4 minutes, 2 minutes to think about the topic you would like to bring for today. There are blank cards here on the left. Let's take the right one. This is the opening day. This is the closing day on the right. So just put on the card any topic or idea or question, suggestion, your name, and put it somewhere in these colorful boxes. So figure out afterwards how we want to structure it, but just whenever you feel comfortable. Sounds good?
Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you.
If you would have questions, just let me know. Do you need another minute? Okay, I see some topics. Do you write something final, or should we review what we have now? Okay, I propose to go, like again, if you would have any new suggestions, ideas, just put them at any time, but I will go just like from this one like that. and propose you to say a few words about the topic you suggested. Henrik, I would suggest you to start.
Okay, so I guess if you want to sort of think about Web3 in a bigger context, I'm sort of still very annoyed with the user experience. I mean, it's sort of like really a hassle, and I guess if you want to have mainstream adoption, the user experience should be much more prominent. So I guess I'm not sure we talked about this, but I think that's quite important for Web3's future, or to accelerate it. And I think somehow AI could play a big role that I've started to think about without having made up my mind on it.
So
And
it's
if I completely misunderstood it, then tell me.
Okay, so the topic about interoperability and usability of applications, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Pedro.
Yeah, so that was my initial plan for a workshop, a midweek workshop. So I was thinking about running a pocket version of basically we imagine very brief moments, slice of life moments that are in the near future that are impacted by any combination of AI or and blockchain. And then I have some prompts, I have some structure I can offer to facilitate this process. And by consolidating these brief, straightforward, slice of life moments, we can assemble a short story. And of course, we can use a lot of ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, whatever you're focusing to get the stories flowing.
That's cool.
Yeah. Images also work, and any medium of storytelling is fine.
Okay. Yini, would you like to share about your topic?
Yes. Hold on. Okay, yes, well. Yeah, I propose to discuss on this topic of about artificial intelligence for beginners, because I believe that quite complex topics have been covered, and I think it would be a good idea to also incorporate some guidance for those who are curious about artificial intelligence and who are just like beginning to use some tools and play around. So I think it will be fun to discuss together how could be the best way to approach learning and the use of this technology and make it truly open to all.
That's cool. I have a bunch of topics here I wanted to propose. Well, one is more of a technical administrative, is that as we heard, many people couldn't join the session, which is completely something we designed for. Like, again, maybe not miss every session, but we specifically documented, we have around 130 people registered in general, and maybe around 40 to 50 people engaged in sessions, like in few sessions or something. So we needed to accommodate for this, how to transmit this knowledge. But also it's a question how deep you want to go, and to which extent, how it should look like. So I thought maybe we will speak about report as a product, what we should work towards. And then there were like a few topics, they are not the same, but I also didn't want to just take all the agenda. I would probably, check on the temperature about what would bring energy. It's more like just conversational sessions. One is like, I can share some ideas from this Life 3.0 book about AI. It's one of the most, it's maybe in connection a bit to Inesi's topic, because this is from the AI researcher, but more for the general audience about how should we perceive AI risk, what is the role of AI, what can be the futures AI creates, God protector, or friendly AI, unfriendly AI. So I can share some notes from this book. Maybe it's more in connection to the AI risk is more general to all the applications. What should we account for? Because we sometimes see only the bright side of AI, how it saves time, but also if AI, if tomorrow internet would be filled with equalized content generated by AI, how would we be sure what is the good content to learn on and so on? It can be hard to distinguish, and it's just one of the risks. Another thing is we had this conversation with one of the speakers that asked about what do you do work with AI, and he says, well, everybody works with AI a bit, but it feels like it's a vaporware now currently. It's just super early stage. So also to explore about ideas, what is the horizon we're taking into consideration? Would it be as some hype cycle just ending tomorrow, or are we here for tens of years, or what's happening with our understanding of AI maturity? So this we can discuss how it can be merge or break it down, but there's another topic from Henrik to present.
Yeah, this was just sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But it's only because I'm from Europe, and Europe wants to regulate everything fast with AI, but slow with crypto. I guess if you wait 15 years to regulate crypto, why do you want to regulate AI up front when it's very new, or these generative AI? But what I thought about was, it seems to be that if you're decentralized, then you can then you're not dangerous, and it sort of fits the whole Web3 agenda to be decentralized. And I guess my question is whether and how AI can help make any decentralized or any business or community make it more decentralized, so it can actually live in a sort of true Web3 context without interference of regulators who seem to be terribly interested. And I suppose with Inman in the States on sufficient decentralization, and also with MICA in the EU, there is a possibility of finding a space where you can operate, do whatever you want, as long as you're fully decentralized or sufficiently decentralized. And then, in my view, AI can actually play a role there, at least in terms of governance, and in terms of connecting people, forming groups that create knowledge and innovation, which then creates economic systems of sorts to do whatever to help wherever. I think AI has a big role to play, even the current maturity of generative AI. But I'm not sure I heard a lot about that yet. So it was more like what's in my head that I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Anybody else wanted to raise another topic before we start structuring? Okay. Well, when we were designing the event, Yini proposed this kind of gates, through which we could look at AI, which was like the people, the technology, and the world. So I would probably see that, if like just rearranging it a bit for now. I see that's like a, maybe I would see again, as Henrik can't be at the same time in 2 sessions. It's probably like I will maybe put these topics like that, and maybe we can rearrange something like some more like narrative things to room A, starting with a workshop, and then discussing a bit of the like sub aspects of it, and then yeah, just connect together to maybe discuss the report, what we expect from it, and then finish it up. But that's just my quick perspective. What do you think about it?
Can I ask what I mean, isn't the AI risk, is that a people thing or is that a technology thing?
Yeah, probably probably it's maybe a bit more connection with decentralization, like when we speak about policy, it's probably some approaches to decrease the risks, so we can touch that together.
Okay.
Okay. How does it look like? Any suggestions, improvements? Good.
Sounds good.
So the plan is, yeah, like we'll be starting this first session, then we could do like a break, maybe 10-15 minutes or something, to have some rest, and then we will reconnect back to discuss that stuff. If it's okay, then I will put a timer for like how much, 35 minutes, and create breakout rooms. Breakout rooms, you can choose which one you want. The one is room A, the other is room B, or maybe I need to lobby. Okay, I'm opening the rooms, setting up the timer. You need to select which room you want to go. The lobby is for like if you would need to break out from the main session to quickly decide on something, or whoever will be joining, I will be sending them to the lobby first. But in room A, there is an exercise in collaborative fiction, AI plus Web3. In room B, it's decentralization and AI risks. I also can move you to some room if you need. Bianca, Berg, Hrun, just let me know.
Yeah, I need some help. Can you put me in a room B, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
You still need to accept, I think, somewhere. Bert, Macron, any help you need?
Recovering from sinus infection, but doing that.
Okay.
So Max, since you know how to run these things, are you going to be our facilitator?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start from the end. What we would like to get out of the session. My personal input would be maybe to analyze the policy and risk landscape when we touch AI. That's how I understood the topic. What about you, Henrik?
Yeah, I mean, if the breakout is the one that we said, can AI help decentralization and the AI risk? Is that correct? Then,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I guess there's sort of an inbuilt dilemma with AI versus Web3 because a large language model, at least in the birth of large language models, is a very centralized effort. And right now, the really, really big models are centralized, so they're a big centralized attack vector. On the other hand, you had Llama leaked, and you have different initiatives, and now I guess you have a stream of 13 or 15 open source models. And I guess in my head, I'm wondering if you can use those models and you can make a decentralized setup, then obviously you can, and if you can automate a lot of activities using AI, which would normally be centralized, maybe you could actually use AI to document your decentralized status-ish. And then fitting it with the risk, I thought, okay, well, we can come with a lot of risk about AI, but in a controlled environment where you use it as a tool rather than let AI guide you along the way and create everything. It's more like I saw it from a governance perspective. You should be able to control risk and also help you decentralize if you want to, with some level of human curation. That's sort of how I've been thinking about it, but I'm not sure. Because if you use the centralized AI, and that's obviously a risky thing if you want to have, if you're using OpenAI as API, as I suggested in my workshop, the project we did, then obviously that's a very centralized attack vector. And if somebody decides to clamp down on OpenAI or close the API or they increase the price or whatever, or they have too much governance or too much success, so it becomes prohibitively expensive to use a centralized API. That's not a really good way, but I think that at least for the purposes around Web3 governance, I don't think you need these big models. You can easily go with much smaller models. So the question is there a sort of free lunch by using big large language models or large language models to train smaller large language models that are open sourced? That's how I was thinking, and then also reduce risk of AI because you're training it for the model for specific purposes, even if it's a general purpose AI. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to give an intro? I see Stepan, I just brought you to the session. It's about AI, decentralization of AI and risks. If you have...
Yeah, hello everyone. Sorry, I'm late for the session, but yeah, good to be here.
Okay.
So is the topic risks or decentralization path.
Yeah. Can the topics are like, can AI help decentralization? It's about like potential risks of, as far as I understood, that due to centralization, some breach of service can happen, or like an inability to use service, or some other risks. So like decentralization of AI, I think, is a more framework to our discussion.
But I mean, if we wanna combine the risk and the decentralization, it was more like, is decentralization, can you improve decentralization with AI, while also, I guess, you can potentially mitigate some risks around AI by thinking about that. But if we start with a risk, then I mean, I guess if the EU regulator proposes a 200-page detailed regulation before AI has really taken off, then there's sort of a precautionary measure that this is dangerous, don't touch it, or at least we shall make sure that nobody touches it, so that whoever wants to use AI can move to the US or elsewhere. That's sort of the one end of the spectrum. On the other hand, since the US don't like crypto anymore, at least the regulators seem to be making it pretty hard to understand where you're going, and Europe is now sort of openly declared the concept of sufficient decentralization as an acceptable thing, which is low risk. So you have, at the one end, you have, if AI is uncontrolled, high risk, apparently, in the eyes of regulators. On the other hand, decentralization is low risk. So I was thinking, okay, well, could you then, if you use AI to decentralize yourself, could you at the same time de-risk the whole concept of AI? And I hadn't thought it through, but that was sort of what sprang to mind when I saw the two topics. I guess personally, I think it's highly doable, but maybe we should start defining what do we mean by AI risk, which you suggested, Max.
I just want to jump in. Oh, you can. You go.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that when we talk about decentralization, it keeps coming to my mind how we say a DAO, it's right, decentralized autonomous organization, and how much of the time it's not true. It's not really decentralized. It's like a few people have the control, but like we try to do something around that. We do voting and all that stuff, governance, and it's still centralized in some ways. And I'm thinking like how AI can be decentralized. Also thinking about the DAO perspective, because it's such a complex topic to like understand the AI and how it works, and I don't know, for me, like I'm not a tech person. I don't have a tech background, so most of the times it's like, okay, I need to learn so many things to be able to use a tool that AI propose, and I don't know how can that actually help decentralization in that perspective of like, if a few people has the knowledge of doing something, then maybe it's centralized between them. But I don't know if it goes all around of like, how can we, I think my point is like, how can we get it that's in a way that it's not so hard and difficult for people to get access to and to understand AI tools, and actually make it decentralized, because it's a beautiful word and it's a beautiful thing that everybody talks about, but at the end we see so many DAOs in control of so low people. Does it make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed with, there was this case where somebody use ChatGPT to create a meme coin without being able to code or anything. Just basically crowdsourcing through Twitter and talking with the Twitter followers. How do I do this? And then it took about 2 days to launch a meme coin. And after a week, it now has a market value of $50 million. So I thought this says two things. Wow, generative AI is really powerful since it can do stuff and help people do something even if they don't have the technical capability. Second, it also says something about people. If something like that can become a $50 million meme coin in 1 week. So, but I guess what I was thinking I mean, it's you can if you can use generative AI or GPT models or large language models, whatever you want to call it, if you can use those without a lot of technical skills. So basically, everybody's being it's a step change in capability if you use it in the right way. So you have an executive assistant at your disposal who can now help you with whatever, even if you can't code. There's all sorts of functionalities. Obviously, you shouldn't deploy code proposed by a chat GPT with a high level of randomness because it fabricates answers. So, but at least you can get something that can help you. Second, you can use this tool to train machine learning models were much faster than you've been able to in the past, and you can use it to create data that you can then validate. So basically you have a training data set, and the power of these models can help you automate stuff that you could not do in the past, which was the session I did on last Monday, which is a project we did where we've used it to spot the intent of pseudonymous actors in a decentralized community and to moderate the community, and also to measure the sentiment of the community, and also to help implement a contribution model, which was in this case an attempt to make a more fair contribution model of some gaming models that would otherwise be very addictive play-to-earn models. So I thought, okay, so if these models are really powerful, you can actually use them to automate quite a lot. So it's not like a centralized thing. It is by the community developed and then agreed and implemented. So it basically takes away the human element except for decision making. If a DAO is owned by 3 people or controlled by 3 people, obviously it's not going to help on decentralization. But this could be a way where if you have a true decentralization spirit, you can actually automate and accelerate the path of the journey towards decentralization. Because I guess everybody sort of mentally accept that things start to be centralized and then they decentralize gradually over time. In my view, I think these large language models can help you accelerate that journey. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the risk in AI. By thinking this way, you can also reduce the risk because you are basically training smaller models that are not able to do more than you have trained them to. So that if there's people have a notion that these statistical models can start thinking themselves, then you can actually de-risk it as well by thinking decentralized. And I guess there was a session on both on data unions in this Unconference and also on decentralized large language models, where I think you can deploy these in decentralized architecture. So you can open source and actually use this combined Web3/AI to accelerate the existence of DAOs for making them a much more meaningful alternative to traditional organizations by removing middle management and have more transparency and more fair reward. That's sort of how I was seeing it. If that, I don't know, Bianca, if that answers your question, but I guess I'm maybe a little ahead because I've been studying this for quite a while.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah, it makes me think about how we need to ask the right questions to ChatGPT, right? That's also a skill to develop, because now it's very common, like everybody uses ChatGPT. But I was thinking more like in different AIs. Yeah, ChatGPT is it's the most famous one, and yeah, I guess if like you ask the right questions, it can also lead you to different tools. And yeah, that in that perspective, yeah, that's really helpful.
If I would think towards the, sorry.
No, it's only Bianca. Are you involved in DAOs today?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am a coordinator in Gravity DAO. Gravity DAO, it's about conflict management and well-being. So we are not like tech people, most of us, and that's why like we use a lot. Of course, we use a lot ChatGPT, but when it comes to different AI tools, it just feels such a like that there is a wall. You know what I mean? Like, and it's so hard to cross it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. What about Robin? You haven't said anything.
I'm just listening in. I don't have any. I'm super fascinated by the question. When somebody say AI and decentralization, I'm very alert. So I'm just want to follow the conversation and jump in when I have something. But I love the conversation so far.
Oh, nice. I don't want to talk.
Yeah, maybe. So I wanted to maybe offer one topic to discuss, which is how can we achieve decentralization of, I think getting models run decentrally is quite hard because of just computational requirements and cost. Getting data decentralized is much easier. So we have like decentralized web nodes or self-sovereign identity, all these technologies that allow us to have decentrally stored and owned data that then can be pulled together for training or fine-tuning purposes. And then the last part, I think like what would be the biggest driver of AI adoption next after the foundational models will be these components or small applications that use foundational models, but then add specific functionality, kind of like agents that then can be combined to get more and more complex tasks. So if you want AI to, for example, run a customer support for your company, it's not like GPT or any existing solution foundational model is not enough. There's a lot of kind of components that have to be built on top. But also a lot of that can be reused. So for example, you can have a component that accesses historic data of previous calls, like embeddings, and then use it to generate answers. Another one could be something that I don't know, keeps track of like incidents during the day and forms another piece that generates the answer. So my point is, how can we have a decentralized marketplace of agents so that creators of AI tools can easily reuse and have composability, kind of like what we have in DeFi. In DeFi, I have Uniswap smart contract, I have Yorn smart contract, I have 1inch, and then I can combine all of those. I don't even need to ask permission and have something new on top. So I think it's not a decentralization of governance or creation of AI, but this is decentralization of usage. And I think that it will create a lot of innovation, unlock a lot of creativity. And today it's just up to builders. Do they decide to make it open source or not? But I think what blockchain shows us, we can have a business model. You can have it open source and also a protocol or some way of like not giving it out for free completely, of making money on it.
Yeah, I mean, when we had the workshop on Monday, Max, we did sort of what is the quick wins in using AI, and I think of everything we came up with, what are the quick wins and what are the must-haves. I did not see a problem in making it decentralized. Obviously, decentralizing a very large language model is going to be impossible, but if you train smaller models, I mean, there's this concept called distillation. Where you use a teacher model, a big model, to train a smaller model, which is what we did in this gaming case. And actually, once you have that, then we said, okay, can we now we train it on one community? Can we use the same models in a different community? So basically, can we now we've trained something for, say, content moderation? There was very little adjustments we needed to do when we moved it to the next community. So I think there is a replicability in stuff here. Not everything, but some elements around governance, for example, that you can actually look at this. Look at this. Like, I think one of the things we talked about was using AI to spot vulnerabilities in smart contracts, to avoid hacks. That I think, I mean, once you've deployed, once you've trained a model, obviously you need to retrain it so it finds all the new exploit, but you train it so that it now knows this vulnerability and that vulnerability. But there is a maintenance thing. But once you have trained it for that, I don't think you need a big 175 billion dimensional parameter model. You probably need something smaller, and then you could host it in a decentralized fashion and call it as a Oracle thing. I'm pretty sure that so you could make it composable, I think. I mean, not for everything, but for something. So the question was, which elements of governance in this, which was what we were talking about the other day, and I think it was 10 areas. I don't have it in front of me, but we sort of found 10 areas that were obvious quick wins for this. And in my view, it was very much like automating it. Oh yeah, of course it's in the same mirror. Oh, stupid me. Anyway, yeah. So basically, on quick wins, you had matchmaking, you had onboarding packages, you had roles and permissions and access control, voting systems and proposal management. Summaries, I think, was also something, didn't we have something? Yeah, best, yeah. So FAQs, I already saw that actually. Ocean DAO have actually trained a version of GPT where they basically indexed their entire infrastructure. So everything about how you do stuff on the Ocean protocol has been indexed, and then they use GPT in their Discord. So every time you ask a question, it queries Ocean's own documentation of everything that is in both in their Discord forever, as well as in their written documentation on how you do stuff. And then people say, how do I connect this data set to that API? And that already, I mean, they did that quite, I looked at it last week. It's pretty interesting. So I think there's a huge potential here that we have not explored, and you can either then accept OpenAI as a centralized attack vector, or you can, once you've gotten used to it, start training and collect and refine your own data, and then train a much smaller model on that data. And then you can host it yourself, or you can put it on a decentralized server or cloud. Or I just think we're only seeing the start, and to get a truly sort of algorithmic governance, not in the sense of, I think in the ISO standard, they talk about algorithmic, on blockchains, they talk about algorithmic governance as being something where you have to accept the decisions made in another chain because it's now immutably done. But here, algorithmic governance would be sort of like social algorithms helping you to manage your stuff, so you can don't need to spend a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter. Like in the intent model we were doing in the project that I presented, we were trying to figure out, there's about 75,000 wallets connected to this platform, and less than 1% are actually meaningful from a community perspective. So using models to figure out who are actually the ones that drive the community and who's just there because they want to listen in or they want to not contribute. I think that's actually pretty cool use case for creating group formation or community formation.
And what if those are not? I don't know how it's structured in this project that you're working on, but in some cases those won't be models. In some cases, for example, you can use OpenAI API. It's perfectly good. You might not.
Yeah, but what we did was use the API to create models and then host it on OpenAI.
For fine-tuning.
Yeah. So you fine-tune models and then they sit and host it there. Obviously, that's if you're sort of thinking about decentralization, it's not really a nice place to have governance models sitting in a centralized API. But in this case, it was a community who's scaling from like 75,000 wallets to 5 million wallets over 12 months. So they were really scared of the CityDAO case, if you're familiar with that, where Vitalik tweeted that he had bought citizenship and then everything crashed because they had 50,000 chats instead of 500. So how to scale without having to grow a lot of additional resources to manage moderation. That was the whole sort of idea of this, and why to sustain the culture you already have. And we just did it because we just wanted to create quick models to show how the power of large language models. So stuff that would always take 3 months, we could do in sort of like overnight. And where we were missing data, we could basically, with zero-shot learning in ChatGPT, train it, ask it, and then, okay, here's something, and then go to the moderator team and then have them validate it. Okay, then now you have then a few-shot approach, and then you generate bigger data sets that are then curated, and then suddenly you have stuff and data sets and good things you can model for yourself if you don't want to use a large language model. But that was sort of like using the large language model to learn and grow very fast using advanced analytics where you would otherwise have to do it manually. It was more like in that context. And I'm pretty sure there's a whole, I mean, I don't know how much dispute resolution. I'm pretty sure if you train a large language model on all the potential disputes you can figure out, then you can start using that to deal with the disputes as well.
Yeah. And then you can combine these different functionality. Yeah. And I wonder what is the simplest way that is, I think the issue is not the governance, but the issue is like, what is the business model around it, or what is the incentive for people to open source these modules they develop? So, for example, there's one model that can classify users of Discord server, which is very valuable, I think, for any DAO or any online community. I think pretty much everyone has this problem, at least for like spam and malicious actor defense, but also for better targeting. Then another model could be one that knows how to reward people, how to something like a praise system. Another one could be dispute resolution. But then what if I want to use this functionality, but not as a bot, as a separate application, but I wanted to use to build another AI tool? So, for example, I want a personal assistant that would not engage in dispute resolution, but it would like use this data and give me a recommendation as a moderator. And then I want to make all decisions manually for some reason. So it would be great if there would be some way of connecting these models and also incentivizing people to build more, because because if you build like a model and then it's used and you can make money based on that, there will be more people paying attention and doing work.
Yeah, I mean, that we just did it because we thought it was fun to see if we could use ChatGPT or GPT as the API, and then obviously for classification you reduce the temperature or the randomness, so it actually classifies consistently the same way. Where I think for chat it actually has its standard default setting is pretty high randomness. Otherwise, it's not fun to talk to. But I think there are, in this case, it was okay. Let's do it this very fast, and then we handed over to the community, and we also said, don't trust this until use it for input. So there's human curation on top. So basically sort of an intersubjective model where you basically just use the models for, well, I don't know, recommendations, but it sort of feeds a flag or does something, except for toxic messages, where we actually also had trained it with an accuracy of 98%. So we thought, okay, toxic content we mute immediately, and then but that, because if you slip with a toxic message, it's very damaging to culture. So we just said, okay, let's mute it immediately. The rest is subject to human curation, but it's otherwise it's real time. And then the idea would be grow and learn, and then build your own models, open source it, or grab one of the open source models and train that instead of training OpenAI's model. That was how we were sort of thinking, and that's where it's going now in the implementation phase. In my view, I think it's a question of 6 months from now, you'll have open source models on DAO tools, all sorts of stuff that are available. But obviously, you need to be comfortable with the concept of large language models to embrace it. Somebody in the community needs to be. Otherwise, it's probably too scary.
Mm-hmm. In some cases, it's a lot of work, a lot of effort to do, especially fine-tuning. You just need to collect a lot of manual data, do this.
Yeah, we had to manually annotate, I think, 400 messages because we were still not happy with the precision. But then we also used to, once we fine-tuned, then we started reducing the complexity of the model. So going from, this was GPT 3.5, so going from DaVinci down to ABA, and there was no significant deterioration of prediction in it by going to a simpler model, which then cost 1,000th of DaVinci to run as a real-time bot API.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that whole space is gonna grow. But I don't know if it probably de-risks the human element to some extent, and also depending on what. In this case, it was a case of hypergrowth. We wanted to have some automation to sustain the culture without breaking it as they go through growth. But I could imagine that for sort of normal community management, you'll also probably like it because you can automate a lot of stuff that is otherwise in some I guess in some communities there's an awful lot of discussion and noise, and I'm not really sure how much of it is valuable versus chat. Depends a bit. But I don't know if it reduces risk. It transforms the risk to something other risk. So if you fail in the implementation, of course, that's more risk than it was before.
And that's also very a lot of opportunity for collaboration because, for example, if you just take DAOs or even gaming space, a lot of companies have similar problems and they are incentivized to contribute. So if like there's 100 DAOs, all of which have moderation, Discord moderation problem, and they contribute some work in annotation of messages, then the result will be arguably probably more better. And that's a question of coordination and governance and also quality assurance. Because if you get paid, then you can also contribute something that is not actually good annotations, for example.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't. You need to be good in. I mean, when we did this project, we also then wrote quite extensive annotation guidelines for the moderators who did not do the model. So, because obviously it's sort of borderline cases are tricky and I mean, this is classification, so it's sort of like I don't even know if we want to call that AI or just machine learning. But but you have to obviously be good in how you develop models and implement and maintain and retrain models. It's not like a free lunch. But the question was, do you need a team of 10 computer scientists for 3 months and a lot of data, or do you need one, or maybe 0.1, and then leverage GPT? That was sort of the exercise, and to start doing something rather than not do something. But did I just Google correctly that you have actually just written a blog about this, the coordination network? Is that you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is just generally, some thoughts on like how can we progressively get to basically a type of organizations that are managed by AI. It's probably not happening right now, because there's too much risk. But if we go step by step, so first it's something that consults like an assistant or co-pilot that gives suggestions. Then it is kind of like a moderator, so a personal assistant, then a group moderator, or like a medium, like a arbitrator. Arbiter, and then finally, as all these small pieces as we get, and I think this community governance use cases is a great. I'm looking at the Miro. Is a great overview, because really we need to get all these pieces together before we can have a decentralized, like truly autonomous organization that actually works autonomously without people personally, individually doing the governance.
Yeah, that I fully agree on.
Should be great to experiment with. I think it's like I want to start with some smaller experiments, really not like putting a lot of money,
I'll just load a link. I actually published the paper. It's on a peer review, but I'll send you a link to where you can read about it. It's a work in progress, but it's where is it? Can AI moderate online communities? Put it in the chat. So, but back, Max, are we reducing risk or increasing risk with this?
There are a lot of kind of like horizons of the risk. I just want to, before I don't forget, I'll send this to the documentation, the article sent. I saw, like we're speaking a bit about the like technical level, so like we can lose control, like the prices, or like some maybe bias or bad model. So it would happen kind of on the level of a cell, say like an organization, like a cell, it can be harmed, okay. But I'm also looking at this wider context of the organizations of economy. Potentially like all this high tech in general is not supporting decentralization much, maybe in terms of economy. We could see probably even bigger centralization of resources and some like players, and also like maybe AI would create even some strategies for integrating this like long tail of different organization, everything into more of the centralized corporations, so besides like doing it right and not doing a mistake, of course it's also important. I'm just thinking about the again, it's considered to be a risk from some position, from somebody it might be a benefit. Maybe we would have a solid economical single system. Maybe it's good in some context, but I'm just as we in Trusted Seed are concerned with let's say social justice or ecological impact, that also is connected with democratization. So far, I just feel like however it's doing now, it's more leaning towards centralization and more of the power capture. And even like when you say like it's so amazing to hear how you play with this model, you know, and when previously we needed like 10 scientists, now we need 0.1 like scientist to do this model. But still, this is such a small bubble of people who do this. In my circles, I hear everybody's using you know, ChatGPT or AI, but then my circles are like mostly IT people. I'm here like currently in Bali, you know, and like I was going with a taxi driver someday, and he was and they spoke a bit about AI, and he never heard about ChatGPT. So I could imagine it's maybe like, you know, a bit of our bubble that feels like where it's like developing, everybody's doing with it something. But if you take the whole world population, there may be like 0.1% of people really benefiting from it mostly.
But that is probably also true for any other technology. Because if you are not in tech, you will learn about technology once it is widely adopted, and you just like all your friends, I don't know, bought a car, and now you know that, or whatever, a smartphone, and now you want one. But it is also not limited. Like it will still be decentralized in terms of like at least Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, and OpenAI, and then all other like Facebook and Snapchat. All these products, all these companies will release products with built-in assistants. So even if a taxi driver, if you use Google Maps, there will be probably some way of chatting and using Bard's LLM, or not even LLM, it's multimodal model. So people will get, but what I'm afraid of is it will happen too late, and that there will be an economic shock, because as AI can do work cheaper and faster and better, it's good for the economy in general, but a lot of people it's hard to adapt to rapid economic shocks, and even if it's the marginal cost of production is going down, which is good, but then what do you do if you're whatever, how many tens of hundreds of millions of people are now working as support in the call centers and support roles, and now all of this is suddenly being automated, and you can generate voice in real time. Pretty good. I tried it. So what are they going to do, and how to not and especially, and maybe I don't know, maybe it won't be a large problem in Northern Europe, or like some developed and socialist and social responsible countries, but India or Philippines, those countries won't be able to just give free benefits and pay those people if they lose jobs. So and I have no solution here.
No, I agree on that. But I read another paper called The Curse of Recursion, came out from, I think, Imperial College 2 weeks ago, which is actually, it's pretty interesting, because you have like, what is it? ChatGPT is the adoption of ChatGPT was, there were 5 days about reaching 1 million users. And I don't know, it's probably 1 billion now. Obviously, there are some people that are never going to get there, but with that sort of rate, that's pretty fast. And then these researchers have done an interesting thing, because, okay, let's have a thought experiment. What if people start generating content using ChatGPT? I don't know. I mean, you can already see it, obviously, 93%, or is it 100% of students are already using GPT for the exams? They say it's 93, but then 7% of them are probably lying. So it's probably 100. And it all sort of looks really good, everything. So they're consistently producing very high marks on everything. That it all sort of looks the same. So we can probably conclude that this is a really good executive assistant, and now people are using it. They're also then starting to post blogs on it. I saw on, was it Reddit or Stack Exchange or something? There's like more than 10,000 AI or ChatGPT generated replies every day. And then, so anyway, they had this thought experiment. If everybody with this adoption rate, okay, everybody, let's say 2 billion people are then using ChatGPT to generate responses to whatever, and then they post that on the internet. And then you retrain the model. Then you have retrained it on generated content, which then you will know is probably becomes a statistical problem called overfitting. And suddenly there will only be white males left in the world because they seem to have filled up quite a lot already. And as the model chooses from a distribution, it always picks the way it works. GPT is without the randomness, but even with the randomness, I guess sort of the most likely, or at least the top 5 most likely next words in a sentence or in a context of the transformer attention or whatever. But at the end of the day, they showed that after 9 retrainings of doing this, so you generate content, then it actually they thought they should call it model dementia, since people call it model intelligence or artificial intelligence, which is artificial dementia. But I think they call it model collapse, which was a sort of to get away from this anthropomorph association with humans. But the point being that what if all this happens? Then it will be so much crap coming out of any query on the internet that you can't use it. So you could then foresee very shortly, with a very fast adoption curve, that you have to restart the internet, maybe, or people will suddenly figure out the value of their own data. And then you'll have to restart. This could actually accelerate Web3 adoption with a blockchain-based internet and self-sovereign identity, because suddenly people figure out that proof of humanity actually matters, and artificial fabricated data is not as relevant or interesting as human data. I mean that mind experience is probably more relevant than thinking it's gonna kill us all. I don't know, but as a thought experiment, I think it's actually pretty cool. As a big statistical overfitting problem, and then you can say, Max, with the role of trusted seed and democracy and equal opportunity, then we will have a great chance, because now AI helped promote what you wanted in the first place, not the way you thought about how it was going to come, but eventually the result was the same.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really cool way to approach it, because we for sure don't know how it will go out. Like in this cyberpunk game and books, they kind of built a wall out of the outside internet because AIs became rogue. But then they really, like as in your example, they can be just in dementia or stupid. They won't be rogue, they might be just nonsense. And then we start building like human. Even like if it not happens exactly like that, it will just bring this kind of foresight exercises. They allow to prepare for kind of consequences. It's maybe like different ways how we go there, but the problem is like we can't, for example, distinguish person and AI. What are we gonna do about it?
Sure, there's going to be tons of use case, but I mean, there was the other one with the lawyer in the US who used GPT to find previous court cases.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the entire legal profession in the United States have figured out that they should use this thing with a little more careful than this guy did. So,
I think
that is also.
Except in the EU, then we want to regulate it with 200 pages of detailed regulation, because we already know that it's going to destroy everything. I don't know.
I wonder how much of I think crypto regulation is similar to that. Having regulation and having it enforceable is basically I'm not sure if that will be enforceable, because as the cost of training and creating new models decreases, and I can individually do it as a like anonymous person on GitHub, then how can this regulation can be enforced? So I can train a model on, I don't know, just bad language or I don't know, some extremist ideology and put it out there. And it is probably prohibited, or it should be, but anyone online can do it, or like very small group of people. If it's not a corporation, how this can be enforced? And same for crypto. Like in crypto, there's a lot of regulation, but also if it's a protocol built by anonymous DeFi protocol built by anonymous founders, it's quite hard because there's a lot of those. And yeah, we see some cases, but it's still mostly not enforceable unless it's somebody like Coinbase or Binance or just random people who are unlucky.
I saw actually, you know, I wrote a paper on this when they sanctioned Tornado Cash, because either regulators are stupid or extremely clever, because they should know that if enforcing sanctions on a piece of software is sort of like, when did that ever become a person? Second, if it already the instantiation of Tornado Cash has already been implemented immutably on the Ethereum blockchain, they should close down the blockchain, not the software. But I think there was a paper coming out of was it somewhere in London University somewhere last week or the week before, actually looking at the liquidity on Tornado Cash and what it meant for the nodes that had been, and the stakers on Ethereum. There's actually, I'm pretty sure that they knew that if they do this, then it will create so much noise that people are getting afraid. So they probably be more careful, and that's exactly also how I see MiCA, the markets in crypto assets. Because I was wondering, okay, could that happen in Europe with MiCA? And it actually can, because it says somewhere in Article 85 or something of MiCA on page 250, whatever it is, that if the regulators deem this as in some way threatening financial stability, they can close down the entire ecosystem, which I think is what the US Treasury was making a point with here. Okay, we can't close it down, but we can make so much noise and make everybody really careful about it that in de facto we are, through sanctions or enforcement actions, closing down the ecosystem, which I think is a terrible way of regulating, but it's possible also in MiCA to do the same thing. So
eventually, like the end result of that will be, I think it won't stop an adoption of any technology that is really valuable and like it's better than what we have previously. If you have a new technology for building financial markets or for running like moderation of groups, it will get adopted sooner or later. But stopping that adoption there's no value in it, because it is just like AI is incredible for just accelerating progress. If we can get more things done with less people, cheaper, faster, create new scientific knowledge, that is good, because we can have more problems solved. And I'm afraid that regulation is usually more on the conservative side and more on not letting things run naturally or as fast as it can.
We could see in the example of regulation from China how that will go. They have like strange ways about going with some stuff. You know, I felt like they're always trying to seek a simpler solution. Like in their like scientific race, they put a KPI of the number of papers to be issued, but somehow they're still behind. Like major innovation like OpenAI happens in US, not in China. And now, as far as I know, like they are trying to license, like if you, again, you don't need to restrict every use case, you just go to the like main channels, and they have like strong media restrictions, right? You can't write about some stuff or you go to jail. So that's where, you know, it becomes tricky with what they're gonna do. And Yeah, I'm not sure who will win in this case. So on the like evolutionary way, they can't stop AI because they will lag in the progress, as you say, like progress is the key. But also, I'm not seeing how they change the whole like government strategy because of AI happening, you know, and they're forgetting about all these restrictions.
I'm pretty sure that AI, serious AI efforts would probably, when they choose the location for their office or whatever, GPU factory with 100,000 machines or whatever is needed to train models, they probably won't go to China, and they probably will they will sort of be hesitant to go to the EU with this new precautionary regulation, and then they will end up in the US, who will then again have all the big unicorns in AI, because they have a more liberalistic attitude until they find out that they need to do something about it, which I guess is, or it will be somewhere that we haven't even heard of yet in this AI space.
I think Binance is pretty creative in how they deal with regulation. So it's like a organization without the HQ. Again, like we know who's the HQ, of course, but yeah, it's like somehow trying to comply. You know, like for example, one of the biggest supporters of the AI regulation is like OpenAI, Sam Altman, and he's like speaking for the Congress and now like supporting. Like again, it makes sense to participate in regulation. It's better than it would be created without you, of course. You know, you still need to oblige somehow, but for the really innovative organization, they maybe just jump in between, you know, like sitting in 40 countries, having like data centers everywhere, maybe even not officially renting or renting from like this is book like Life 03 I mentioned before. They describe a case, the author describe a case where the whole consortia or like a huge corporation monopoly over like many markets was hidden under like million of legal entities. Each of those was like seamlessly unconnected. There were even some people who you know, were kind of workers, like they are doing some work, but in like they were like doing less than 1% of work, and most of the work was done with AI. So I'm just thinking, yeah, it's without the global regulation, like there's like also if we follow this global tax effort, you know, an effort to somehow avoid like decrease the tax evasions through this like global loopholes and so on. It's really hard to agree on the global level, and thus such models of behavior would probably will always go without restriction. And through VPN or something, you will access your favorite GPT thing.
Yeah, I don't think you should. I mean, I would also be cautious when the sort of foremost CEO of who just managed to gain a pretty big commercial position starts talking about putting restraints on everybody else. I could be skeptical. Why on earth is he doing that? Is it there is a concept called kicking the ladder, which is once you climb the ladder and you're on top, then you kick the ladder so nobody else can get up there. I'm sort of naturally skeptical when when you see stuff like that. We'll see.
We're speaking for almost 2 hours. I just want to check if you would maybe like to have some kind of break before we go to the like last section. Do you need a break?
But what is the last section now? I guess a break is always nice, but what is then the last section? I forgot. What was that?
Yeah, we could discuss a bit about like report, you know, like what are the desires about assembling all of what we've spoken about for all this time. And then we just do some retrospective and praise session, and then there we end.
quick 5-minute break?
I will.
Yeah. No?
Yeah, I will have to join another call by at the top of the hour, but actually, I wonder, like, what do you think would be the next steps? Because I think there's a lot of energy and ideas about specifically on the governance and DAO side and automation of the processes. Do we plan to continue this? Like, I would be most interested in actually building some prototypes, testing some of these ideas in real life, because I think we're too early for like theoretical, like foundational research, because we don't know just what can work. Like, nobody knows all that GPT can do. I think every day there's new use case, new functionality, new emergent property that is being discovered. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe that was discussed during the conference. Maybe I missed that session.
Well,
Max, what do you think?
The Unconference is a mixer of people. Like, we have lots of like, we had this topic, and we just try to approach it from the different angles and build these connections. So we'd be super happy to see that some conversation evolve past that. We're not just forget it, stop here, no more discussions. So the chat is specifically for that. The report is specifically for that, because part of the report is catalog of people and companies inside, and in general we're like would like to allow more self-organization. Like, you just can put any topic you would like to the chat with like a poll, for example, like who wants to join this or whatever. We can support you with any type of contacts you need. So I also see that at least one of the topics is taken off with these data unions. So I will consider as like some kind of product or whatever we can build together. But yeah, that's whatever we feel like we want, we can do.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of I see a lot of very interesting ideas. Yeah, data unions and like data sovereignty and how that can be applied to LLMs is definitely very clear problem, very clear thing to do. But yeah, okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Cool. Then let's maybe have a 5-minute break and reconnect for the closing. Okay.
Okay.
Alexini, I just put a message to the chat that we're gonna take a small break till the top of the hour, and then proceed with the report, next steps, retro and praise. Okay.
Sounds good.
Great, thank you.
Slowly coming back. Just let me know when your like signal somehow, if you have returned. Yeah. Nico, could you tell what you were discussing in the room A?
Yes, it was interesting. It was well, we access the Discord server, Floristics Discord server, and Pedro explained the rules about this game. It is a game, and it is also a way of imagining a city. And we're trying to explore this intersection between the blockchain and AI to create this neighborhood. So we started with this building of 10 floors, and how we envision how AI could help these citizens, and it was really interesting and nice to do. So I provided some ideas about healthcare. We focus a little bit more on healthcare and how probably we can, by using this same idea that Git has with the passport, probably use it for each citizen so they can access to services like healthcare, for example, and the process of getting the specialists or specialists for the specific issue this person may have could be smoother. So that's kind of idea we dropped it there in this specific channel. He opened for the activity, and at the end he will gather all this information and try to structure it a little bit more and provide like a more like a strong narrative around these ideas we provided during the workshop. So it was nice. It was using creativity.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay. So the plan is for we have a bit less than an hour, to do 30-minute session on the report and then finalize with retro and praise. I created canvas for clean canvas for products. Share again in the chat link if you need. So yeah, you can add here straight away if you like, but I can also write your thoughts. So we're speaking about the report for the Unconference. Who are we doing that for?
Sorry, can you repeat? The canvas is made for what?
Yeah, this is a lean canvas. It's has some question to describe a product. I suggest to as we will work on the summarization of the knowledge around all of that what happened in the last 2 weeks, all the conversations. We will produce some kind of product for, say, our community or wider Web3 community. So I'm just going question by question to gather, brainstorm with you and gather the thoughts about how it should look like. So the first question is, who do we build for this report?
Okay, great. Yes, thank you.
TS community and GG community, right? Maybe more wider Web3 community. Probably not AI community, right? Or should we include AI community as well?
I think the AI community is very much a highly sophisticated computer science community who they will think this is trivial.
Exactly.
Just because I didn't hear it, the TS and GT, what is TS?
It's Trusted Seed and
okay.
Give It Galaxy.
Okay. And where is token engineering? Okay.
It's our internal
Okay.
term, but it's
Okay. Give it Galaxy. Okay. Well, there you go. But what about Token Engineering Academy?
yeah. Let's have it as the separate.
Yeah, because
And-
it's TE Academy and because TC is a token engineering commons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Token engineers in general, that's all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of need we're trying to solve with this?
That's a good question. Intellectual stimulus.
Oh.
No, that was a joke. Don't put it there.
I like it because that's exactly that's pretty honest. It's drives us, right?
Probably having an audience that can't manage some concepts or some complicated concepts around AI. Well, a better way of describing that, but yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think also, I mean, it's maybe put it, demystify AI for non-computer scientists. Or non-techies, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's the best description of what they provide. But yes.
Yeah, and I think also possibly, I mean, that was sort of my motivation for that other project I was doing, was to basically educate DAOs or decentralized communities on the power of analytics, where I think there's you don't need to wait with to become or to start embracing this stuff. There is plenty.
Okay. So if we speak about the
can I just ask what this is a business canvas? So are you seeing this Unconference as a business case?
To be honest, for me, this is more of a business canvas, which has like key partners and key activities. This is the business model canvas. Lean canvas is more towards the product. So it might not be even commercial, but it's still something that provides value, we could say, right? We still need to, for example, distribute it through channels. We still can measure the success of it. So it's like just valuable to think about it together.
So you see it as a commercial product?
Again, we probably won't sell it. We believe knowledge should be free. But for example, the value, like not the revenue stream, but the value streams might be new members for the community or like partnership with our projects or something. Something maybe even more important.
Exactly. For example, during our the last report we created, that's something open source, and it is a living document. We pretend to keep nurturing over time. Probably we could be the same with this one, or not. We can hear the brainstorm together of the way we envision this future report for this experience for the Web3 plus AI conference, or so this is a way of we can decide a little bit more about how we envision that the product is, of course, this idea of reporting what we experienced during these 2 weeks, right? But doesn't mean that, as Max said, that we are going to sell it. the best way we consider we are helping this customer segmentation that we are actually drafting there is by doing it open source, so people can access to it. Basically, it is open source because all the recordings, all the information is there, only that this will gather all the information.
I was thinking when I met Pedro at the TE Academy last year, we had a long conversation. This was when we were doing reward modeling, and there was sort of like two very distinct communities in the TE Academy. One was for DAO, I guess it was sort of like reward modeling. If I come from Western Europe and we build trust through transactions, it's very sort of transactional. If you come from other places, then it's much more sort of intrinsic motivation. So we were actually struggling a little bit in some of the breakout DAOs or initiatives to figure out how to do stuff. And so I'm wondering, is this too analytical for community members who don't really believe in sophisticated tools, but more in relationships? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Because but when I remember we were starting to do, okay, well, how do you do reward modeling? For me, that was sort of, okay, well, that's easy. You figure out what your strategy is, or it's not easy, but sort of relatively easy. And it's okay, what's the strategy, where we're going? Okay, we'll decompose that into value drivers and cost drivers, and then you basically just start figuring out how do you contribute to value or reduce cost, and then you make contribution, then you need to reward it. That's very, very simple. Or traditional management business school stuff thinking. That's a very, very Western slash mature economic way of thinking about reward modeling, where others said, no, actually, it's much more important that we sit down and we get acquainted with each other. And if we have achieved nothing for 5 days, aside from learning each other or getting to know each other, then that is also good, which was very, very hard for me to grasp coming from a transactional mindset. But in the spirit of an unconference, where if everybody or whoever meets up with the right people and whatever we talk about is the right thing, since I've been talking a lot today in the breakout, I'm wondering if we're missing some voices here that would bring what is, because you could argue that if things are relationship driven, then this is potentially a totally different animal than if you are sort of efficiency, transaction, lean thinker, lean canvas, a product. Do you understand? I'm just wondering if we haven't heard a lot of that, or is it obvious that AI and Web3 has the same meaning depending on where you're coming from? I guess is my question.
I'm putting some ideas here. I think we come to this like central piece for value proposition. It might be also considered as a title of our report. So we have like this, we have this data, but then we need to assemble this data somehow so it would have meaning. And what I heard from what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not about, this is the topic, you just read and now you do something. It's more about listen to what people how they make meaning of AI and build relation. Maybe in the forefront of our report should not be the topic as much as the people who are doing something, and their perspective on why and they are doing this.
I mean, in my view, I think this works for both communities, but I'm very much biased towards where the way I've grown up and I have been working as a professional. So I'm just wondering if we capture it enough. I guess if you can use AI to create very sophisticated balanced contribution models, then of course, if relationship building is part of that, then it's obviously also possible. I'm just wondering if this group has been very rational, or whoever participated in all these workshops. I don't know, something to manage the preconceptions and the bias of those that you have received input from, I guess, could be worth a while, so it doesn't become Web3 truth.
Could you give like a metaphorical title to the report you would like to receive?
Oh, I actually asked ChatGPT about that because I saw this sort of cluster of converging technologies, which really made me excited for my own research efforts. And as in this convergence of disruptive technologies and quantum computing coming within the next 10 years, maybe in a more meaningful way, what shall I call my PhD? And it's really fun because it brought back Age of Infinity. I thought that was actually pretty a good title. I'm not going to call my PhD that, but I think actually, if you think about the power of these disruptive technologies, you could potentially have that as a catchphrase, because you're now creating a never-ending sort of, you can go anywhere, anyway, and keep improving. Because the technology will, I don't know, probably be more accelerating things that we have ever seen in the past. So it's no sort of new shift in I guess it's called a technology shift. I don't know. I just thought it was fun to that GPT was so clear on what it should be called.
Sounds nice, because at the end, this technology is evolving and faster that probably we can discuss right now. So, yeah. Sorry, Max.
No. I really like it. I can imagine like the catch title can be this like Age of Infinity, Convergence of Disruption, AI, Web3, blockchain, etc. But the format of the report might be more of the voices of the community. It's not like we know for sure, like whatever Ines said or Hendrik said is their truth. It's like everybody said something. Where people like, where do they think at all? Somebody thinking this.
So you could say that. So you could say the Unconference Report is a contribution to a better understanding of the Age of Infinity, and then define, and then say that's basically the super cluster of technologies converging. I don't know, something like that.
That's good. What should this report consist of? It's probably some profiles of people who do something, right? So we can, for example, present like, here's Henrik. Henrik is like doing PhD, blah blah. Like here's his profiles. Yeah, here's the session, like AI for governance. Like here's what the scope of the thinking was. And then there is Sam.
Or you could say, I guess the way I saw it was, rather than the specific exercise, it's sort of if you make it outcome based, you could say, okay, this is the community, and this is what. So basically, here's a profile of people who are either practitioners or theoretically focused on these topics. And I thought what would be valuable was, this is a positioning paper to how to accelerate the use of or how to see AI in a Web3 context, but that would be I think, valuable. I mean, for me, the workshop, the output, I don't know. When I also looked at the data union workshop that I participated in, and I was half of Andreas Fowler's workshop with the decentralized LLM. I got the impression it's very focused on sort of tangible ideation, maybe could be a word. So it's a brainstorm document on how this can unfold, or the opportunity that we talked about demystifying, but at least here's a catalog of conversations, maybe.
Also, in the parallel, there is the hackathon happening, where again the videos are public, so like anybody can jump and see them. But what we can do is we can reform that into some text format that would be easily navigatable, because now it's like just 1 hour video. You need to find which project is, understand which project is, but you can quickly see, like who's working on what. And maybe it will also stimulate the like, okay, this is interesting, I want to speak to that person, and see how I can be of use. Maybe the catalog of resources, like models, books, researches, expertise centers, something like that, maybe.
Just shooting in. Maybe the report could also be a future data set for a future LLM.
Do you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, like all these sessions synthesized becomes a good data set from this part of the community as perspective. That can be convened with at some point in the future.
Could we define it as a curriculum, maybe? Since we are compiling these profiles, materials, resources, we can probably synthesize everything.
It's cool. What is unique about us that puts us above others, or like that's a super unique angle of why we should do this report?
AI experts. We have Enric. We have some people that are really experts in the topics. They're.
I don't think I'm an expert in the topic. I think that's actually what.
For me, you are.
Well, yeah, but I think that's actually that's the point. I think it should be sort of more. I mean, if you say it's a collection of essays, obviously it's not, but it's a collection of brainstorms, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not so we're not experts, but it's a mix of practitioners and people with academic interest and practical experience in the Web3 or token engineering space. I think that would be, so we focus on maybe address it as token engineering conversations rather than computer science or specific stuff, because token engineering seems to be a space that we can own or at least are credible in. So rather than saying we're not going to digitize an ethnograph like I can know Kelsey and Abner and Ellie Rennie are talking about, and Meta Governance is also looking into. Maybe it's a token engineering conversation rather than, because that is a multidisciplinary thing where there's a lot of practical stuff and it's not really an established research field. So we're not claiming to be academics. We are basically looking at this from many dimensions and inviting an open conversation about it. Maybe that's less confrontational, I guess, for people who want to read it, but just want to be interesting perspectives stuff rather than academic or not academic, but sort of scientific truth.
That's cool.
Nice.
Any other ideas about advantage? How should we measure the success of this report?
Well, if you're in academia, it's something about number of downloads and number of citations. I guess number of who actually read the abstract, and then number of downloads, and then number of citations. But I'm not sure people will cite it. Typically, it has to be peer-reviewed for academics to cite it in their own papers. So I think it's more like that's I think too ambitious. If
we had a session about decentralized science, and we learned about this preprint website. So anything we write, we could put as the like preprint, and it becomes citable.
Put them on archive or
yes,
SSRN or those sort of things. If that's what you think.
Yeah. So
yeah, you can publish it that way. I guess you could.
That's cool.
But I don't think that you. I mean, yeah, decentralized science, is that okay? I thought that was actually more sort of pharmaceutical, or is it? I don't know.
This is a new format of doing science, I think. Researching the pharma like formulas is one of them.
Yeah, so the Vita DAO, for example,
yes,
crowdfunding, crowdfunding research that is otherwise not going to happen or be heavily monopolized somehow.
Maybe I will add then again like advance of the projects and the number of connections created.
Yeah, something like that. But I just think that if typically for an academic to cite something, you want it peer reviewed before you. Otherwise, you call, or you could say in this space actually gray literature like Medium is quoted as well. That's true. All right, yeah, keep it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So yeah, maybe like we have a few minutes left. Maybe the main thing I would like to discuss is like the value streams. So what the creators of this report can get out of it. Publicity.
Yeah, good.
I was, I don't know, I was thinking on this word about interconnection. Somehow you can connect with these people that participated during the conference and while learning about the things, the topics that were discussed.
Yeah. If you want to learn something, try to explain it to somebody. I like again in this book Life 3.0, the guy was really obsessed with the AI risks, and he got at conferences where like top researchers came, and Elon Musk was also visiting it for some years, and in the end they created some kind of manifesto and fund, like institute fund for advancement of this research. Through this fund, like Elon Musk gave $10 million, and they gave money for 37 researchers in that direction for AI security. Maybe that's too ambitious, but I would imagine somehow, maybe we will do a round on Gitcoin for all of the ideas or research directions and kind of help to promote it over wider networks.
But do you see this as I mean, I don't see this as an academic report. It's more like idea generation and discussion. But I don't know. Maybe I failed in understanding, because I like, if it was academic, then you should have had a lot of academic people present. And I'm not sure there is. That's why I thought token engineering was a sort of a mixed discipline, which includes both academics and practitioners and everything, but I'm not sure.
Well, we also had this idea about creating some kind of course. So let's say a course for token engineers on AI. So this might be an object for raise that we could raise for somebody to create it.
Yeah, but that, I guess, is because it's, now crypto is still in the winter, it's coming a little bit up again, and the blockchain is sort of not the hottest topic of the year, but generative AI is. So we need something of that. Is that because it's sort of like flavor of the year? And then when the whole thing is crashed because of overfitting, then we come back to blockchain next year or something like that. I don't know.
Basically what you mentioned with your case, with governance and what you did, as I got it, like you need some sophistication about like what are the models. You specifically did a workshop. There were like some also like hands-on workshops on some data and so on. But it wasn't, the barrier to enter didn't seem to be too huge. So especially if you're like a computer scientist, starting to play with some model might be like a question of like tens of hours or something. So, and it would potentially, again, probably in a year, like crypto can come back, but having this extra like skill would only create more opportunities. Okay. So thank you for that. It was intellectually stimulating and gave a direction of where we can build this report. Because again, we didn't want to just summarize ChatGPT. We wanted to kind of position it, and it was really helpful. In the last 25 minutes, I would propose to quickly work on the retrospective, to think this is our second Unconference and we always can do better, just to go with this cards and suggest what was great, what we learned, what was lacking, and what would be even better. I'll maybe give it, I don't know, 10 minutes to that, and then we do the praise. Is it okay? Okay. Yeah, please join the bot. Again, if you have some problems here from mobile, you can also tell me or write in the chat. I would add it to the board. Hendrik, do you need any help?
No. I'm just, I mean, it's just always a problem for me. If I haven't participated in everything, then like, what did I lack? Well, I should have seen everything and I didn't see it. So it's like, but that's bad excuse, isn't it? So
this is you see, it's not your unique point. We were pretty open about the format. We didn't design it in the like, oh, if you miss the session, you don't even come, bother to come later. You won't understand it. We understood that the like people are from different time zones. We had one session where like this like person from New Zealand, and she said, I could only join this session. The other sessions are like in the middle of the night for me, So it was good that she joined, but she can also like only experience that part. And for many people said that something happened in their lives. They wanted to be here, but something happened. So it's rather like I suggest to think together about what we can draw out of it for the future. Maybe it should be more synchronous. Maybe we like long for doing it like in the offline environment, just at some conference, meet next time in Copenhagen, for example, and do this, which I will probably write. Maybe that was something of the lack of notifications, or maybe you didn't know which sections to pick, so like all of those ideas would help us to design better next time.
Okay, I was actually confused on, or it was maybe just me, but I think the sort of the schedule of things, it was very much volunteered, and then it was I didn't know that was happening, and then so I guess it's part of the format is you don't not know everything in advance, but that also then means you miss some sessions because, and it was sort of the, yeah, you could put in whenever it fits you, but what else is there? So I was maybe I could have been more effective if we had presented or somehow communicated the clear schedule more with more time, or what is it, more sort of like, because people are filled up in their calendars, but then you record it and therefore you can see it afterwards. So I guess it's part of the format that you don't do it. I don't know.
Okay, are there any ideas left? Yeah, I see. Robin is right. Okay. Is it good or any other? Do you need a bit more time? Probably I'll stop then. And Yini, would you like to go with liked?
Yes. Let me see. Okay. Let me read here. The report vision format. This was my first experience on the Unconference, even though I couldn't participate on most of the sessions. It was a very nice learning opportunity to get in touch with different perspectives and new topics. Interest to continue conversations, sessions focused on how by using the storytelling and AI you can create future scenarios, interactive sessions, new product appear in connection to hackathon as well, support of the sponsors, yay, wider volunteer effort, loyalty of the core community, lots of extra materials, engagement with lots of AI talent, recording of sessions, quality of conversation, and learning about things I would otherwise have access to, diversity, cutting edge conversations. Yeah, well, I agree with most of the things that are here. Of course, a lot of diversity, about the diversity and the loyalty of the core community. I'm really grateful we have you co-creating this experience with us, and I think that's what personally I like the most.
That's cool.
I will pass it to Bianca. Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah. What is for me to do? Sorry.
It is read to all the learn information. I mean, under learn, you can read it aloud.
Okay.
Probably share your personal.
Okay, I'm gonna read.
Idea.
So, learn new AI applications in Web3. It could be an interview format, potential next steps, product landscape, new ways of interacting with AI. Many people had life problems in during the time. Topic too narrow. Only fraction of community felt comfortable. Hard to join in the middle of the process. Participation on the level of 1-2 sessions per person. And should I pass it to somebody?
Yeah, I can take one and pass to somebody else. So what we lacked, more people joining for the closing session, didn't know that was happening in regards to some events, had to understand who's coming, do people know more clear schedule. Seems like people didn't explore the onboarding guide. Damn it, we worked so hard on it. Attention, ways to reach, be in dialogue with the majority. Robin, are you with us? Would you like to take the last one?
Hey, I'm on the bus, so I'll pass it on to someone else.
Henrik, would you like?
Yeah, sure. So can you scroll a bit out? Just a little bit? Yeah, okay. So do try this offline around the conference. Hard to keep track of all channels, more synthesized updates. How could we make it easier for non-academics and more people co-creating the whole experience with volunteers and hosts, etc.?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have some personal comment, you can
No,
also-
I mean, it's a little bit long for versus lagged. I guess it sort of overlaps a little bit.
It was a bit long, you say?
No, it's the long for and the lagged
yeah.
category is a bit overlapping, I guess, because it was.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Yini, would you mind guiding us through the praise session, please?
Yes, this is the most lovely part of the unconference, like praising us about the amazing work we have done so far with the during this experience. So first step, if you can guide Max using the first step is you can place your Discord handle in the Miro board. Just you can share there your name and the Discord handle if you use Discord. So we can all know everyone's handle, so we can use that for praising each other about being here today during the closing session and overall the amazing work we have done during the Web3 plus AI Unconference. So yeah, first step is that add your Discord handle, sorry, in the section that will be used for the praising moment. Awesome. So yeah, next step will be join the Discord server where this magic will happen, and the Discord server is Commons Stack Discord server actually. So Trusted Seed has some channels there related to, of course, Trusted Seed, and there's a specific channel which is the praise channel. You can praise everywhere, but if you want to use the praise channel, will be okay. That's the main channel for teaching praise. So you can go there and type /praise to start praising people for their contributions for this activity. So I can start, for example, praising people that joined today's well, the one I could capture because probably I'm missing people here for joining the closing session as an example. So you can closing session.
I'm gonna jump off now. I gotta go to another call.
Okay, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
so
for
much.
joining. Closing day, okay. Okay, dropping here. So let's. Ta-da! So I don't know. Yeah, I'm praising people. Probably I'm missing people, as I said. If so, you can help me also. Let's praise Max for hosting today this session. Thanks. Yay! This is great to see all the messages popping.
I have to go, unfortunately. Thank you so much
It's okay.
for all the work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Robin, for joining.
Of course, of course. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, basically, we have another session right now. In a couple of minutes, we can keep
Guys,
the
thank you
party
so much.
going on.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Miyanka.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you,
was
Bianca.
amazing. It was really a very nice session and discussions today. And come to Gravity DAO, Twitter Space. Let's keep in touch and be together.
Yay! Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay, I'll stop recording. All good.